This week on the Hollywood and Toto podcast, anti-Semitism is right on Hollywood's doorstep. And what are they doing about it? Well, I don't think you'll be surprised, but you will be angry. I talked to comedian Michael Loftus about his new project. It's a streaming platform for unwoke content. How cool is that? And, Trump can be good and Trump can be bad. But this week, he was very good, talking about something he did that intersects with pop culture that really matters. You'll find out more in a minute.
Welcome to the Hollywood and Toto podcast. Entertainment news and reviews without the woke Hollywood narrative. Free speech, free expression. Now that's entertainment. And here's your host, award-winning film critic, Christian Toto.
Before we kick things off, I hope you subscribe to the Hollywood and Toto podcast. We are on YouTube, Rumble, iTunes, all the places. Give us a look, give us a follow, give us a like. This is a very competitive environment. I'm trying to share the stories that are not being covered in the media. That matters. I really appreciate your help. We saw the ugliest blast of anti-Semitism possible on October 7th, but it's not over. Far from it. I mean, you just have to look at college campuses across the country to realize that, or the different protests that are happening in big cities across America.
Violent clashes broke out near a Los Angeles area synagogue yesterday morning after pro-Palestinian protesters scuffled with counter-protesters. Police in riot gear showed up to try to restore order, and as you can see, video online shows punches being thrown and people wrestled to the ground.
But now the anti-Semitism has reached Los Angeles. And what's happening there? Well, not much. Let me give you some context here. There was a pro-Palestinian protest at a synagogue in Los Angeles. They blocked the entrance to the synagogue, and of course, violence quickly ensued. A Jewish woman was beaten, a man was beaten, his nose was broken in two places. Can you imagine being a Jewish person in America in 2024? It's not easy. No one seems to have their back. But Variety magazine recalled what's going on at that particular melee. And it said that the Jewish community in Hollywood is outraged. They're looking for action. Well, they don't quote many people who are looking for action. They do mention Lawrence Bender, a prolific producer. Good for him. Another person mentioned in the story goes nameless. Other people I've never heard of. Where are the Hollywood celebrities? We've got anti-Semitism running rampant across the country. Now it's in their backyard. Nothing. After October 7th, there were a lot of stars who did speak out. They signed open letters. They ran to their social media to decry what Hamas had done. Good. There should have been more of it, but there was some of it. That matters. But lately, it's pretty quiet on the celebrity front. You've got the stalwarts, John Ondrasik. You've got Patricia Heaton for sure. I believe Deborah Messing has been vocal and consistently so on the matter. But mostly silence. Now, you can stop talking about October 7th. That happened months ago. I understand that. But anti-Semitism is alive and well and popping up all over the country. It may be slowing down in campuses right now because school is out of session. But urban centers, other places, it is still going on. And imagine the DNC in August. That's going to be a nightmare. Guarantee it. So where's Hollywood? Every time Trump tweets on Truth Social, every time he makes a speech, they are all over it. They are outraged about X, Y, and Z. They're spreading the word about their concern. But where are they now? Where is the outrage? Where are the actors spreading the word about what needs to be done? How about the fact that no one ever seems to get arrested at these melees? There was one arrest at the LA situation. Is that person going to be in jail for a while? I guarantee they're probably out right now as we speak. It is shocking. Now, the Variety story talks about how work needs to be done. They need to work amongst themselves. But where's the outrage at the police who are doing nothing? Now, I don't think it's the police's fault. I think they're being told from high up above, stand down, don't make it worse, don't protect the Jews. Why aren't they doing their job? These are not peaceful protests. These are not people waving placards and using their free speech rights. I'm all for that. This is almost always different. It's horrifying. And by the way, I can't talk too much about it right now. I will soon. But there's a new documentary, a short one from Daily Caller. It's called Anarchy U. It focuses on 3 California colleges and what happened there with the pro-Palestinian protests. Wow.
At first, I actually thought that it was at least somewhat peaceful.
The university called the LAPD overnight on Tuesday after violence erupted between pro-Palestinian protesters and Israeli supporters.
You can watch the trailer, but it is a nightmare. Again, why isn't Hollywood making that documentary? Why aren't we seeing this on Netflix, on HBO, on all the streaming platforms? Where is the creative community? It is outrageous. It is unacceptable, and it is ongoing. And I fear it'll have to get worse before actors, creators, artists, celebrities finally speak up. Until then, it's more or less silence. They are cowards, plain and simple. How dare they stay silent at this point? All the activism, all the outrage, all the tweets, all the Instagram posts, and they can't spare a syllable about what's going on in this country. Shame on Hollywood. We need more comedians like Michael Loftus. Why? Well, he's funny. That matters. He's smart. He's engaging. He's been in the belly of the beast. He's been writing for sitcoms for years. He's been doing his own shows. He's been creating platforms for his art. He's been collaborating with fellow comedians. He's done it all. And now he's making a new platform for the rest of us, for people who are tired of woke content. It's called Studio TST. And the TST stands for That Show Tonight. It's his response to Saturday Night Live. SNL, a once great institution, just can't mock the one party. And you know what party. But That Show Tonight, it mocks it early and often. And
Worry about your mom or dad living all alone? I know I did. And that's why we started A Place for Dad, a senior living facility like no other.
Yeah, I was worried about my dad all the time. And with my career, I just didn't know who was gonna take care of him. Sometimes I'd have to go to an art show at the last minute and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Whew. Then I found A Place for Dad.
so now Michael's got this new streaming platform. You can go to studiotst.com to find out more. And he's touring the country, and he's on YouTube, and he's doing a podcast, a Loftus Party. What does it mean to be able to tell the jokes that Colbert and Company won't? Here's a spoiler alert. It's refreshing. Hope you enjoy my conversation with the great Michael Loftus. Michael, if we were having this conversation maybe 5 years ago, and we said, the conservative side of Hollywood and all these different platforms and movies that now speak to half the country, we'd sound silly because they didn't exist. And now there's so much progress going on. So I want to just start there as someone who is well-versed in the industry, who is right of center, who has watched this evolution. How do you survey the landscape right now? It must be exciting at the very least.
It's exciting because the opportunity is exciting because there's such a huge segment of the population that just wants to be entertained, and they have nowhere to really go for it. It's wild to watch. It's wild to watch what Disney has done, and it's just throwing away decades of goodwill and trust. So it's a super exciting time. I love the films that are coming out. There's so many great documentaries, and it's like I want more. I want all of it, and it's great to watch. It's great to watch like the fire get started, because as more people are discovering Studio TST, there's more filmmakers who are calling me up and going, oh, hey, I've got this documentary. Hey, I got this project I'm thinking about. So it's a blast.
One of the ways that's really, I guess, pushing this whole movement, in a sense, is Gutfeld. I mean, it is unique in the late night space. You pop up obviously frequently. I've really enjoyed Jimmy Fallon and his emergence at Fox News as well. How would you kind of place Gutfeld in this larger picture? Is it playing a role? Is it just part of it? How would you kind of as a puzzle piece, put it in the overall scheme?
As much as I want to joke, but I'm not going to. I'll be here's what Greg represents.
Mm-hmm.
He is he's literally like the flag on top of Mount Everest. So conservatives were never allowed to participate in Hollywood. So you get two benefits out of that. If you want to be the gatekeeper,
mm-hmm.
you can say, oh, conservatives must not be funny. That's why they're not on television.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can always say, oh, and it would never work if it was on television.
Yeah.
So what Greg is the living proof of, not only does it work, it's insanely popular. It's the most popular late night show. So, but the struggle, the fact that he has that show is like a miracle unto itself. And there's definitely a universe where there is no Greg Gutfeld, and there is no, and the gatekeepers still have control of everything, mm-hmm. and America gets worse. We're better off for having Elon Musk turned Twitter into X, and we're better off having Greg Gutfeld with this incredibly popular late night show. And so now that's where Studio TST and That Show Tonight and all of this comes into play. And it's capitalism, really. If Hollywood isn't going to make these movies, mm-hmm. and if they insist on making propaganda and indoctrinating children into their political philosophy, no matter what, if it's Marvel, if it's Star Wars, if it's Pixar, whatever, someone else needs to take control and go, okay, well, we just want to make good stuff. I like what Kevin Costner's doing with Horizon, but that poor guy had to put up his own money. Why didn't the studio just like, and you have to wonder if that's blowback for Yellowstone, and if that's really the reason he's not going back to Yellowstone.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think the whole other story about how there seems to be a bit of animosity towards his project, which you would think an artist sinking their own money into a visionary 4-part series would be universally acclaimed, but it's something that there's almost like a bitterness there. You've been in the belly of the beast for years. You've worked in Hollywood. You've worked solo. I know it's an economic opportunity, the fact that the gatekeepers are doing what they're doing. Do you see any breaks in that wall, or are they still standing firm and saying, hey, you guys still can't belong here, go play by yourselves? And of course you're doing it and doing it well, but is there any sort of change going on there? Do they realize what they're doing?
I don't think so. I honestly don't see it. You would think that Disney would have done the biggest about face, after watching what happened to Pixar and the Lightyear movie, but they didn't. They doubled down, and they're injecting pronouns into the Star Wars cartoons. It's like them, they Jedi Knights. These are the little kids cartoons. Yeah. Now they're doing it in more of the live action. They've lost so much money. It used to be that was the great leveler. Oh, they will do this until they lose money. Mm-hmm. They just keep going. They've got the lowest rated Star Wars show in the hit. This is below the holiday special, Christian. This is it's below the Ewok cartoon, and they're still moving forward.
Yeah. I've been using the term show business with an asterisk for a while, because it ain't just money. It's much more than that. Let's talk about That Show Tonight. You've been doing it a while. It's such a target-rich environment. When I talk to people from the Babylon Bee, I say something similar, where all these comedians, all these platforms are ignoring these great, juicy stories, these politicians who are so ripe for ridicule. You must be giddy when you assemble the show and write the sketches. What's that been like so far?
It is the most fun that you can have, because we run it like Saturday Night Live. There's a reason that show has been around and been as successful as it. So we get together with the cast and the writers on a Monday night, everybody comes together with their ideas. And then you're like, okay, so here's the ones that we need to film. We need to pre-shoot these. We need to rehearse those so that you're ready for we do a Friday night live show in front of the audience. But it's really, I want a bigger green screen. I need more hair and makeup, because there's so many, like, you're like, oh my gosh, we have to do Joe Biden as the mummy. Right? Because he just wanders around. And you're like, oh, well, we don't have an ancient Egypt backdrop. We don't have so then you have to kind of, and that's like the kind of the fun challenge of it. It's like, okay, so how do you take that idea and then what does that morph into that fits within our budget? And it's wild to watch so many of our videos. It's funny. We've been kicked off of TikTok twice. A bunch of social media platforms have been very, let's just say, I don't think they're being honest, but it's always so entertaining when you see one of our videos, like somebody else reposted it and it's got millions of views, and you're like, okay, that's fine. The word is getting out there. So it's not coming from our platform. It's not coming from our page, but obviously we've got over 22 million views of different sketches. And it's just like, I'm just like a crackhead for it. I just want more. I'm like Hunter Biden.
And let's not, I know I don't want to get down this rabbit hole, but let's note that you're doing a comedy show that is not R-rated, to my knowledge, that is not chock-a-block with nudity and vicious language. And yet social media platforms are saying, hey, wait a minute, you can't tell those jokes. I mean, let's absorb that for a minute. I mean, God bless you for actually, running past the censors and getting success, but isn't that a terrible thing?
It is, it's wild, but like, I'm so stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so stubborn. TikTok won't even give you a reason,
mm-hmm.
And like, Facebook and these other platforms are even more insidious, if you ask me, because they go, oh yeah, everything's fine. No
mm-hmm.
worries. And you're like, there's no way this content is out there. Yeah. And so I don't want to talk about the other platforms. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but there are platforms out there where it's just millions of views, millions of eyeballs. And it's wild to know that there's now, at least they have it with the COVID-19 thing, is that you have a trail of emails from the White House to Facebook, like Zuckerberg casually mentioned it on the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah, so the FBI, they would call us up and they'd go, hey, don't do this. And you're like, what kind of dystopia are we living in? It's 1984, the musical, which is something we should make.
It's the story of the year if the media actually opened its eyes. Oh, let's go to Studio TST, your new project.
Yeah.
A streaming platform, a place for all different views, a place where you won't be censored for a funny joke.
Right.
Give me your vision and then give me the future of it, because obviously it's new. It'll grow, it'll expand, but share more about this because I'm excited. This
is honestly, I want this to be what Netflix was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that show tonight. We've got the sketch comedy show. Right now, there's a bunch of stand-up specials and wonderful things. There's original feature films. There's classic feature films. I just got off the phone with some great filmmakers in Nashville. We've got some documentaries coming down the pipeline. We're going to be doing more episodes of that show tonight in Nashville at the Redneck Riviera. Mm-hmm. So I want to, and this is going to sound crazy, but whatever. I want this to be Netflix. I want this to be Amazon. I want people to come home and go, oh, my new favorite show is on Studio TST. And they can watch, documentaries about musicians, or I know some very funny people that have sitcoms that they don't have a place for them, that no one's buying that in Hollywood. And that's my background. I worked on a lot of sitcoms. I worked on a lot of feature films. I want to give the green light. Once upon a time, Christian, you would take an unknown comic, like a young up-and-comer like Roseanne Barr, and nobody knew who she was, but she was funny. And then you would give her a situation comedy, and America would tune in. That's what I want to do. Yeah. I want to go out and find some young, hilarious stand-up comic, and let's give him or her a home and go, okay, well, what's the sitcom that you would like to do? Is it single camera? Is it a live studio audience? And produce that stuff. And I think it will be like the people will come like bees to honey, and you just want to laugh. You just want to have a good time. You just want to be entertained. Yeah. Everybody has gotten so far away from that original thing. Like the thing that got Walt Disney up in the morning and got him out to his garage to make cartoons. That's the feeling that I have about Studio TST.
Gotcha. I imagine you still have contacts within the sort of more traditional Hollywood. Do you find more and more people within that ecosystem reaching out to your colleagues saying, hey, can I work with you? I've got some ideas. I know a buddy.
As they find out. There's guys, it's always so funny. There's guys that I worked with on shows who could, because I leaned to the right. So I was feeling it years before anybody else, right? I kept my head down for a lot of years. And then when I finally poked up like a little conservative prairie dog, that's when the lawnmower came by. So all my buddies in Hollywood, they're like, oh, there goes me. Now I'm fortunate because I'm a stand-up comic, so I could always pay the bills, so it wasn't like a career ender. It was like, okay, so I'm doing the thing that I love. Now all of my buddies, it's happening to them. They can't get jobs because they're men. They can't get jobs because they're of a certain age. They can't get jobs because they don't check off a diversity box. So now it's like, hey, fellas, remember that funny idea we used to talk about late at night? Come, bring it on over. Let's go.
Come on in. The water is fine. And by the way, you're talking about a significant talent drain of all these people with decades of experience who have skill and wisdom and humor and versatility that are just not able to get employment in Disney and other places. So, I imagine you're opening the door wide. Come on in.
It is the wildest thing to watch. And it's been an absolute joy to watch Jerry Seinfeld become enlightened. And he's like, we're just trying to make a funny show. I'm not looking around. Like it's already hard enough to make a funny show or a great piece of content. Yeah. But when then you start folding in, we have to have a political message, we have to have an Ecuadorian lesbian with one leg who identifies as a parrot, like you've made it 17 times as difficult. Let's just start with entertaining people. Let's just do that. Everybody's welcome. If you're talented, you're welcome aboard.
Yeah. I want to pivot real quickly to President Trump. I feel like he's been terrible for comedy, which is a shame because A, he's very funny, and B, he is larger than life. And you think you could, mine a lot of good laughs about him, about his shtick, his bluntness. How do you approach a Trump as a comedian who is right of center, who's not looking to skewer him, but maybe open to funny things in the Trump universe? Is it hard to navigate in that space for you?
It isn't really. I've like with comedy, at least from my perspective, you have to go 110% at it. You'll see these comics who are kind of like halfway, they almost apologize for him. I tell you, and Trump, sometimes when he starts talking about like, oh, we killed him like a dog, and you're like, whoa, that's hard. No. I love the tweets. I want people like, oh, you must have hated the tweets. I want more of the tweets. Bring them. Bring me the Rocket Man. Yeah. So everybody has their own technique of going after it. But with Trump, it's like trying to take a chew toy away from a pit bull. You can't go in there kind of half at it. You're going to lose some fingers. You got to be like, give me that.
Gotcha. This is a semi-serious subject, but I trust you and like you, and I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this. What I've been watching with the creative community, musicians, comedians, you name it, is what's happening on college campuses across the country, what happened on October 7th, the rise of anti-Semitism in a way that just shocks me, and I'm sure is shocking everyone else. And so few people have been upfront about it, have been talking about it, have been bold about it. And I can name them on one hand. I mean, it's John Ondrasik, it's Patricia Heaton, Michael Rappaport, a very left of center soul. What is your reaction to that? Because, celebrities talk about everything. They get active, they march, they protest, and there's so little happening in this arena where, honestly, I think we could use their voice right now. What's your thoughts?
It is the terrifying reality of just how far down we've fallen as a nation and having a moral compass. That is, there's been a lot of canaries in the coal mine that really, I was upset, and I would post articles about this at theloftusparty.com when they were forcing the vax on people. And the rock and roll community was very quiet, right? All these people, Rage Against the Machine, but you can't come and see our show unless you've got an experimental vax. So that was a terrifying eye opener. Mm-hmm. And with the anti-Semitism going on right now, you're like, it's so much worse than we thought. Yeah. And that's why it's really important. And this goes back to the Walt Disney of it all. There is it's a soft indoctrination into it's almost like a prescription for confusion. They don't want these kids to know up from down, left from right, right from wrong. Everything is this very moral gray area until it's something that they want. And then it's cut and dried. So someone needs to begin to push back, and it's like, this is where it stops. And everybody who believes it needs to stop now, come over here, and we're just going to start. We have to rebuild. It's wild. It seems so hokey, but it was like Ronald Reagan, who's like, freedom isn't in our DNA. You have to constantly, and for decades, the entertainment industry and musicians and artists and filmmakers, everybody was asleep at the switch. Yeah. And the public education system, everybody was, this is how it is. This is just how it is. And then one day you wake up and you're like, is what I'm watching on TV, is this real? Is this really happening? So people need to get fired up. They need to get motivated. And it's politics is downstream from pop culture, and we got to pay attention to all of it. So we might as well fight back and be entertained. Yeah. While we do it.
And I think that Jerry Seinfeld mocking those pro-Palestinian protesters at his gigs, I think humor is so important, which is why you face struggles on social media, which is why the late night is so one-sided.
When there's been two of them, they just protested Jerry again, but leave it to Seinfeld. You gotta just tip your cap to the master. He's critiquing their protesting. Listen, you want the same thing I want. You want to say something and get the response. Listen, you're not doing good. You need to go work on your material.
It's beyond perfect. I want to wrap it on a kind of a pragmatic note. For years, I think one of the issues that conservatives have had in your space is that the people with a lot of money have not opened up their wallets. Kevin Sorbo and I have talked about this a lot. He's really struggled with that. And now we're seeing the Daily Wire is doing it on by themselves, and they're a profitable enterprise. They're able to write those big checks. Do you see progress on that front where people are starting to invest in projects like what you're doing in other colleagues, or is that still hard?
No. That's why there's there's a multi-step process behind that show tonight, or Studio TST.
Yeah.
Step one is create the sketch comedy show, start acquiring more content. Okay, so now we have Studio TST, and we can stream that out, and it's a very affordable, like $5 a month. You're going to get all this content. Then when you have the numbers behind you and you're like, here's how many million people, then you can go to advertisers, and it's wild. We have to reverse engineer free television for people. Yeah. It's everything is completely backwards. Everything is completely backwards. So yeah, everybody just thinks it's going to happen by magic. Everyone thinks, listen, if Elon Musk doesn't swoop in and buy Twitter, we're living in a very different America. If Greg Gutfeld doesn't have a hit TV show on Fox, it's a very different America. So yeah, people need to reach for their wall. But it's wild. It's like Trump, and like when he was the 34 charges and the felonies, it was America coming through it. It was America doing it in $5, $10. So now he's able to compete with the tech billionaires who are funding the left. They know exactly what they're doing. The Disneys and the Black Rocks, and they don't want competition. So I wish there were more visionary, wealthy people on the right who are like, oh, I should fund this movie, or I should fund this studio that's going to do multiple movies, multiple forms of content. There's stand-up, there's cartoons, all of the above, working towards the point where we can give it away and get advertiser revenue. It's crazy.
I'm so glad to have you on the show. I enjoy your company. I enjoy your humor, but your insights into this are important. They're not sugar-coated, that's for sure. But of course, the new platform is studiotst.com. Just go to the website, check it out, sign up. $5 a month. It's nothing. You get all this great content, and I'm sure much more is coming your way. Also, you got the Loftus Party podcast. You're hitting the road. I'm almost, I feel badly talking to you because I'm taking you away from like 6 projects, but I appreciate you taking the time. And what have I left out? I mean, I think I've hit the basics, but you've always got about 6 plates.
I'm doing a swimsuit issue. I'm doing a calendar. No, it's.
Well, I got to go. I'm sorry. I think there's a bad connection.
Here's a picture. Bad connection. I'm going through a tunnel.
I can actually miss those days on the smartphones. They're getting too good now. But Michael, thanks so much for joining the show. Again, check out all his work and keep fighting the good fight. And, if those multimillionaires, if they're not going to fund these projects, just do it yourself and you're going to reap the rewards. I'm looking forward to that.
That's what we're doing, and the support so far has been amazing. And as people find out, they keep coming. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I want to get some more Sorbo stuff going. Everybody works.
Absolutely. Thanks again. A lot of conservatives had a hard time processing Donald Trump. Many people love him. Many people don't. But even if you enjoy his policies and think he's exactly what our political moment needs, he throws a lot of sharp elbows. It's tough to really understand why we have to accept the good with the bad. And that's why Ben Shapiro came up with good Trump and bad Trump. He did it a few years ago. And it was basically when Trump does well, when he does something important, let's celebrate it. And when he sends out a tweet that does no one any favors, when he steps on his own rake, when he makes fun of people within his own party rather than lifting them up, that's the bad Trump. Now, I don't like to get directly political on this show. It's the intersection of pop culture and the Beltway. But here, we got that intersection and we got the very good Trump. Why? Well, he just put out a post on Truth Social that celebrates and suggests that everyone go see Screams Before Silence. Now, I've been raising the alarm about this movie for quite some time now, for weeks and weeks. It is a haunting documentary that lets the survivors of the October 7th attacks share their stories.
When the body of the woman is violated, it symbolizes the body of the whole nation.
His name was Muhammad. He used to sit on the bed in front of me. I knew that something bad is going to happen.
It's really tough to watch. There's nothing graphic about the presentation. I've done a video of it here on YouTube and also Rumble if you want to check that out, that review. It's one of my most popular videos because no one else has reviewed it. It, last time I checked, had 3 reviews in the whole internet. It's a pretty big place. Have you noticed? There's a lot of stuff on the internet. The web is it's worldwide. 3 reviews, and I'm one of them. You can draw some conclusions about that yourself. But the bottom line is we need more people talking about Screams Before Silence to realize what Israel is up against, what they're doing right now. And you could agree or disagree with their tactics, but there's a reason they've gone all in to wipe out Hamas, because that day was an atrocity unlike any other. And Trump, to his credit, has acknowledged the film, acknowledged the need for people to see the film, and spread the word as best he can. That's how influencers can help the country and not hurt the country. When Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's disease, we all know about it. He's open about his treatment. He's open about the road he's on to try to get better. And of course, he created a whole institution to research treatments and cures. That's a good influencer. That's a good thing that a celebrity did to make the world a better place. Trump is flawed. Trump has a lot of critics. Maybe some of you listening right now will never vote for him. But this week, promoting that movie, that's good Trump. And I'm so glad he did it. Well, that's the show this week. Again, thank you to Radio America for having me as part of their great podcast lineup. And while I have your attention, I've got a plug. It's HollywoodInToto.com. It's my website. This is its 10-year anniversary. The website, like the show, is the right take on entertainment. It's woke-free, updated 7 days a week. You've got news, you've got commentary, you've got retro reviews from the great Barry Wurst, a good friend and a great film critic. He recalls films from 10, 20, 30 years ago and tells you why you need to revisit them. His writing is fresh. It's exciting. He loves movies. And the thing I like most about Barry is that he likes genre movies. He likes classic movies. He likes Oscar bait movies. He has an appreciation for the art form, and he kind of meets it halfway. If he's reviewing a film that's a silly bawdy comedy, he's not going to get on a high horse. He understands what the approach is, what the target is, what the intentions are. It's what I love about having him at HollywoodInToto.com. Again, like and subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you next time.